All right, Ian.
We got a Patreon. You go to patreon.com/CU podcast. And there you go. There you go with your money and your high hopes. And
high hopes, your dreams.
Your dreams. And you spend that money as fast as you can in your hot little hands.
What?
So what do we offer at our Patreon? I do a writing every week. I don't know what this week's writing is going to be on. Last week I wrote about Spelunky 2, which I have been playing feverishly.
Talk about punching bats.
I could talk about punching bats.
You can talk about the history of the sesame seed bun. There you go.
Could talk about the history of the sesame seed bun.
You've already done the research. You're qualified.
You also get access to the full video podcast that goes up on Tuesdays. And you get to vote in I do a hangout.
Once a month, sure.
Once a month. And you get to vote in these Q&As.
And so this was this week's topics. In third place, thankfully, what video games would you make a novelization of and why? At only 19%. That's a bad one. Second place, 32%. Besides Super Mario 35, what retro games would make good Battle Royale games? That's an interesting one. And then in first place, Ian. Wow, this is a strong first place one. 49%. What are your favorite toy lines and why?
So I have two that I considered to be probably my favorite, even though I only actively played with one or asked for one. The Voltron line of toys in the 80s was probably my favorite. It's one of the only cartoons I remember being obsessed with in the 80s. That was at least an 80s cartoon. Like, a lot of people remember G.I. Joe or Thundercats and stuff like that. I never really got into a lot of that, but Voltron I was big into. And I loved I think they were the Matchbox. They did the die-cast lions. They were like the Hot Wheels cars or the Matchbox cars, but they were the lions, and they had the wheels underneath them, so you could run them down like Hot Wheels toy track.
They weren't Matchbox sizes. I had that set. It's about a foot tall. That one was. They were plastic.
I'm saying they made small metal ones. That's what I'm saying.
But mine, you could wind them back and they went. You said yours, you can do that as well?
No, mine weren't wind back.
Oh, okay,
they were just
okay.
like, you just let them go. No. No, I do remember the wind back ones too.
I had the wind back plastic one. They had a metal one, they had a plastic one, they had the big 18-inch one, which I have in the garage, a plastic one as well.
And I had one of those. I think I had like the 18-inch plastic one. I remember I got it from a garage sale. My mom got it for me. And that was one of my favorite toys of all time.
You still have it?
I have them. I have two full-size Voltrons, but they're not. It's not my original.
You have the big one, the 3 3/4 figures fit in.
I have the bigger one that Vonnie got me, and then I have the Soul of Chogokin one. I had the $300 fucking die-cast one. It's insane.
They came out back then?
No, it came out like
the new one.
Ago.
Oh, the new one.
It's not based on the new one. But yeah, it's that one is fucking nuts.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had not the miniature one that didn't come apart. As a kid, I had let's see, I'm looking at it right now. Here's the Matchbox one.
Jesus Christ, that fucking Voltron's expensive now.
Yeah, that's the one I had. The deluxe line set. It was plastic. It wasn't made of metal. Yeah.
Dude, I'm talking about metal cars.
Oh, actual cars?
They Matchbox sized cars.
I've never seen that as a Voltron before. Sorry. I had the Matchbox released deluxe line set. It was about a foot tall. It goes for $350 in the box. Holy shit. I have it loose. Had it as a kid. Matchbox Voltron 3 deluxe line set. Full-size die-cast with box and manual. They call it die-cast, but I don't know why they call it die-cast, but I don't think it was metal. It was plastic.
It was. They made metal ones. They did. It was partially metal, part plastic, but there was definitely metal involved.
Is that the one I had then? Because I don't think they made two different ones that did that. Anyway, so whatever. I had that size. But I also had... When I started collecting toys in my teenage years, I got the bigger one that put the 3 3/4 figures in that you actually bought separately.
Right.
That one wasn't as nice as the small one in terms of the ornate stuff.
No, the smaller one was nicer. And maybe I'm thinking of the one you're talking about. Maybe they were pullback.
But the smaller ones didn't have the enemies that you could buy.
Right.
Only the big 18-inch one had those enemies. And I don't remember those being easy to find in the stores. Then again, I was only like 5 or 4 and 5, so I only had the one Voltron, little guy. But okay, so that was yours. Any other ones? You mentioned the Thundercats.
So the other one for me was just straight up Hot Wheels cars and track. It's crazy because I love
displaying Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars.
I I mean, I have no interest in cars these days, but when I was a kid, Hot Wheels track was all I wanted, was more and more of it. And we had the original kind where like you had to clamp the starting piece up on something high, and then you would let it run down. You could let it run down the slope and do the loop-de-loops.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't have that.
Playing with the track was my favorite thing. That was like, whenever my mom would see that stuff at garage sales, she would buy up whatever track.
Oh, that's where I got.
there.
I almost never got a brand new Matchbox or Hot Wheels car. My parents would find like a case of them at a garage sale. But which they also found though was I had the. It's so funny. You had like the racing thing. I had the town set that you literally had like the town. Like the
those
road
were
pieces.
cool. My younger brother had that.
And like yield and street signs and stuff.
Yep.
Like I had that, and I liked playing with that. It wasn't like a lot of houses or something with it, but it was like, here's the roads. Here's the intersection. It had like the intersection pieces, it had the curved pieces. You can make your own little townville setup, farm town setup, Ian. You could do that with that. So I loved it as a kid. I loved having just giant blocks. The old school giant blocks. They don't make them anymore. The big ones that you can bludgeon someone to death with. I used to make my own little forts with army men. I used to love the little plastic army men. Used to love them. I made my own little like battleships, and I throw things at them to destroy them between two different sides. I would do that. But really the toy lines I loved. We'll start with M.A.S.K. M.A.S.K is fantastic because M.A.S.K is really a combination of Transformers and G.I. Joe, because they're humans still, but they have transforming vehicles, and it's a combo of those. And M.A.S.K was nice because they were cheaper for the most part than the bigger Transformers, but I guess I identify better with the humans than the robot characters, and that's probably why I never really I didn't love the Transformers cartoon. But M.A.S.K was a great toy line. I had the rocker, I forget his name, with the sunglasses, who had the motorcycle, probably because that was the cheapest one, motorcycle that went into a helicopter. And it was cute. And they were cute. They didn't transform totally, but there was enough. The gun came out, propellers came up. I love them. He-Man, I liked He-Man a lot as a kid, because He-Man is so outrageous in the different types of, they're all basically aliens, especially the villains. No, the humans too. You got the guy with the long neck, you got Moss Man, you got a skunk guy that smells, you got the awful lobster guy. What was it? Awful Clawful with a big lobster arm. You had Manny faces, different faces that twisted around. You had they were bizarre. They all had the same torso and legs, but they were just bizarre in what they did. You had what was it, the guy that had the climbing rope. What was that? Webster, was that his name? It was just fun. You had Beast Man, who was orange. So yeah, He-Man was great. Cartoon sucked though. So there was, to me, it was always either the cartoon was great and the toys did not live up to it, or the toys were good, but the cartoon, it was hard to match that. Thundercats got close. Thundercats toys were interesting because I don't know if you had any Thundercats toys.
I think we had one or two floating around that were just there.
I had to win two of them at Seaside Heights because my parents didn't. I think they bought me one. They got me the walrus guy who was one of the secondary characters, and they didn't get me one of the main ones. But they were cool because they had the action, the arm action, and they had the little, not all of them, some they had the little, Lino had the little red glow that went through them when you put the little flashlight on.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then Ninja Turtle figures were really nice because again there was a wide variety of types, and some guys had had a little clear stomach with stuff inside. I forget what guy with that was, Mutagen Man or something. There was different animal races. You had the gecko with a skateboard. You had you had what the hell was his name? God, I can't think of it. The doctor, Dr. Stockman or whatever, that becomes the fly. Baxter Stockman. Who was a doctor? So you had a bunch of those. So Ninja Turtles to me got close. Just okay, the cartoon is really good. The toys are really good. The play sets are really good. You had the goo. You fire the goo. You had the slime. It was a good time there. Of course, I come back to the GOAT, G.I. Joe. Not just because it sold the cartoon sold the toys sold the cartoon together perfectly. And I guess the more adult comic book there. But G.I. Joe is always my GOAT of the 80s for toys and cartoon, because when you actually saw the cartoon show and the new characters, it made you want to buy the figures of those characters. Like, they really sold the characters well and fleshed them out to buy them. Because there was, remember, I always bring this up, it was amazing. There was like 50 to 60 different G.I. Joes on screen that you saw.
Sure.
They rotated them out. So you see one guy from the early seasons that, you know, because those are early trolling, they would bring those early guys back in later seasons. You would just see him less. Maybe once every 5 or 6 episodes. Oh, there's Zap. He's one of the first guys. We're going to bring him back to do something in the background. He'll get some lines, though. So it makes you want to go, oh, look at this guy. This guy I haven't seen before. Here, Airtight. He's a weird biochemical soldier with a weird, quirky personality. I like to joke around. He's not on a lot of episodes. I want to buy him. And he became a figure I always wanted, and I was jealous my friends had. So... And G.I. Joe, you know, talk about all the different diverse characters. You know, they had that before any other cartoon had that. They had everyone on there, and it was great, and everyone working together. So I always go back to G.I. Joe because that, and G.I. Joe also had, to me, it had the best vehicles and play sets because the 3 3/4 scale, you can get away with having really like sort of minor, more micro toys or gigantic toys or medium toys. So if you couldn't afford the big whale hovercraft, you can get the smaller like motorcycle, right, or get the little armadillo mini tank like that were cheaper. That's why I end up having, I think, a lot more G.I. Joe toys than everything else, because the figures were cheapest. They were $2 and change for a 3 3/4 figures, which had full articulation and a few different accessories, and I think they had like $10 to $15 vehicles that were still affordable for your middle class family. You didn't go out and buy, you know, the $50 vehicle. They had $10 vehicles, $15 vehicles. Very smart toy line because of that. They had all different degrees of toys. I guess Transformers was the same way. They had the little micro guys and medium and gigantic ones. You know, so yeah, I love G.I. Joe. I ended up having about probably 40 to 50 G.I. Joes when all was said and done. You know, and then I had probably 15 to 20 vehicles at least, maybe 20, 25 vehicles. And I had only one. I had the battle platform, the play set, the one that went into the water or on dry land. I had that one. If you ever saw the cartoons or had any memories of that.
No.
You know, you have a favorite G.I. Joe?
No.
Did you have any toys? No G.I. Joes? Really?
No, I didn't care for G.I. Joe when I was a kid.
Really?
Yep.
Could have bonded over.
Didn't care for G.I. Joe. Didn't care for Thundercats.
Really?
Yep.
You like the cartoon even?
Nope. Didn't
the
like,
anime style. You don't like?
Didn't like the He-Man cartoons.
Oh, the cartoons are garbage. The toys are fun. You can't rewatch the He-Man cartoons. You just can't.
I do remember. I liked the toys. I never really had any, but by the time my younger brother was into toys, that's when garage sales were flooded with He-Man figures. Like, everyone was getting rid of them. So my brother had a massive box of He-Man toys. And at one point in time, I mean, I could name just about any He-Man fucking character, and my brother had it. They weren't new, they weren't complete, but, you know, we had them because they were everywhere and they were cheap as hell. So that's what my brother
Yeah, by late 80s, He-Man were like 7 years old. So yeah,
they were just everywhere. Couldn't escape them.
I remember seeing some of the G.I. Joes in the late 80s, but not a lot of them. If I went to the flea markets in the mid 90s, I would have started buying the G.I. Joes again, because I sold all my toys off at yard sales, and like my grandparents when I was like, you know, 12, 13 years old. That's why I sold them on my original batch of NES games. I sold when I was like 12, 13 years old. Yeah. Before I would rebuy them like 4 years later, you know, I sold them all off. But I was such a good kid when it came out. I even like put all the weapons together with each figure before I want to make sure they went to a good home. Put all the weapons together with each figure. I sold them each, whatever it was, $1 or $2 each, whatever I sold, $1 each, 50 cents. When I was like 13 years old, 12 years old. Now I'm kind of sad because I didn't get some of those G.I. Joes back. I have a bunch in my garage that I rebought. I have a lot more than I had when I was a kid now, and ones that are worth money. G.I. Joes have in the past 2-3 years have skyrocketed in price versus what they used to be. And I don't know why it took so long versus other toy lines, but all of a sudden now, like even like a beat up like Storm Shadow is like $50. You know, it's just I don't know what happened. I guess everyone reached the age of 40 and wanted to get nostalgic for G.I. Joe. Why didn't you do it the past 10 years? Because they put out garbage products or no products of G.I. Joe.
Right.